Hello, and a very warm welcome back to the very first episode of TOGcast. Did you see what we did there? In this series, we're going to be chatting and asking questions to various members of TOGA Motorsport team. For the next few episodes, we'll be speaking with our three commentators, who are Ollie, Julius, and myself. We're going to be speaking with the head steward Arnold, driver coach Owen, and our custom livery designer Airy. However, in the first episode, what better way to kick off our podcast series than to speak with the owner and boss of TOGA Motorsport. Hayden started the community from scratch, growing it into the brand it is today. The Discord server has over 1,600 members. We have 1,700 subscribers on YouTube and over 1,000 followers on Instagram. He is the driving force behind the brand and the innovator that is pushing it forward. So I'd like to introduce you to Hayden. Hello.
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 Right, what we're going to do, we've got some set questions which we're going to ask everybody just to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the finer point questions. So, what is your name?
My name is Hayden Sweet.
Oh, nice name. And how old are you?
I'm the age of 34, so not too young and hopefully not too old.
Wait till you get to your 40s. What country and city do you live in?
So I am from the UK, and I'm from the oldest recorded town is Colchester.
Oh, very nice. A bit of culture as well.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your occupation?
So I am a senior web developer. So I build websites for a living, effectively, for media companies and other brands such as like that.
Excellent. What hobbies and interests do you have out with sim racing?
Well, I'm a massive football fan, and as you can tell by my accent, I'm a Mancunian, so I support Manchester United. I am one of those southern Manchester United fans that don't really get a chance to head up to Old Trafford very often. But yeah, don't ask me why I'm a Manchester United fan. I think it was something to do with my dad a long time ago, a long time ago, in fact, and it stuck with me ever since. So yeah, football's a big thing. I love fishing as well. I'm quite an avid fisherman. I like to go carp fishing as and when I can.
Oh, nice.
And apart from that, hobbies, I guess, and interest is family. I love spending time with family. I've got 2 children and a wife. So yeah, those are the real things that I do outside of sim racing, really.
Jeez, do you have extra hours in your day that I don't have? Because I couldn't fit all that in. Jeez.
No sleep and up early. That's the goal. That's what I normally do.
Oh man. Okay, so what and who inspired you to get into sim racing?
So I've been sim racing properly, if you want to, in quotations, properly for the past 2 years. Prior to that, I was using all the way back in Gran Turismo days. I started real, if you want to call that sim racing, on the PlayStation. And that was many moons ago. It's just a love of cars, really. I do love cars. I've always loved cars. I love going to racing events. Mainly Brands Hatch is the closest track to myself, so I go and watch a lot of touring cars if I can. So just a love of just watching cars go around a circuit. That's what really got me interested in actually being able to be able to like pick something up and pretend that I'm a Lewis Hamilton or anybody else along that way. So yeah, it's just a real passion for motor vehicles, really.
And I think a lot of us, I mean, me included, it is a thing about cars. It's a thing about different motorsports, and there's so many sim racing sims out there that you can almost choose which one you want to go into or dip into different ones. It's no, that's really good. What type of equipment do you use?
So, good question. I've recently just upgraded to a Moser system. I was Logitech G920 for a long time. Prior to that, I was a G27 user. But just due to financials, really, I never had the money to be able to upgrade to a proper direct drive wheel. I'd been saving for a long time, and I got to a point where they had a sale on, and it was just inside my budget. So I'm now running a Moser base and a Moser steering wheel, and I have a GT Omega ART racing rig, which is basically the entry level cockpit, if you like. That's a sort of standalone system. So It's not. I don't have all the gear. You know, I can only use what I can afford, but I still enjoy the hell out of what I've got. I do feel like I'm at one with the car, and I feel like it's separate to. You know, it feels good. Does feel really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many good entry type wheels as well. You can go for the belt driven wheels like the Logitech 29s and 920s, and then you can obviously upgrade from that. But it's great that people can kind of come in at a lower budget and at least get a feel of the sim, and then, as you say, kind of upgrade as you go along, and you can then upgrade your pedals instead of the wheel, or the wheel instead of the pedals, and things like that. So it's really good to hear that you've went that route, and it's unusual to hear someone that's not a Fanatec person either, because
that was a big decision to make. I am not the sort of person that likes to follow crowds. I like to do my own research. So I looked into Fanatec, I looked into Moser, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. I didn't know anything differently. I haven't never used a direct drive wheel before, apart from obviously now. I can't fault this wheel. Honestly, I can't fault how it works, how it behaves, and the setting software is good inside of it as well. So it was just one of those things that I just took a punt on, really, and I can't complain at all.
Excellent. How do you find the difference between going from belt-driven Logitech to the direct drive wheels? Are a big step?
A massive step, in my opinion. You with a belt-driven wheel, how do I explain it? You try and pick up the oversteer by how the car reacts, whereas with a direct drive wheel you can feel it happening, so it's easier to correct. You've got to predict it when you're in a belt driven wheel, because you think it's going to start going, whereas on a direct drive you can feel everything. It's in your fingertips, and you can easily start to correct a spin or a slide or anything, all that. And also the vibrations, locking up, I can feel the ABS juddering the steering wheel, which is what you would obviously have almost in real life. So it's just the immersion of actually feeling like you're in control of a 700-800 horsepower GT3 or whatever it may well be.
Yeah, awesome. What's your favorite car in ACC?
Well, I put the Porsche down as my favorite car, the new Porsche 992, but I've been recently driving the BMW M4 for the first time in a long time, and I'm starting to stick with that car, and I love it. It's got good speed on the straights. It will slap you on the wrist if you start to be aggressive with it. It won't hold any punches. But I'm actually really liking the BMW, so I think I have to change my answer. I think the BMW is my favorite car right now.
I have to say, I mean, the BMW is a good car. And just for the listeners who are listening at the moment, a huge plug for our YouTube channel, the TOGA Motorsport YouTube channel. You'll see Hayden doing different things on his own, like LFM daily races. I believe this week you're doing a daily race every day. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I just thought I'm not a massive YouTuber creating content by myself. I normally do it via the whole community. We do commentating, like yourself, get involved with all the commentary stuff. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm just going to record myself doing the LFM dailies, which this week is at Imola, and it worked out quite nicely because we've just done a 2-hour race at last weekend at Imola, so it was a perfect fit for me. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to record myself every single day, the next 5 days round Imola. And actually, I've just recorded, in fact, the day 3, and I won't give too much away, but I'm slowly starting to improve my quali pace, my race pace, where I'm finishing. So hopefully, go and watch the video. By the end of the week, hopefully, I might be able to get a victory. I don't know. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, actually. I'm really enjoying just being able to jump in the sim. Just for once a day, one race at the moment, 25 minutes. It's perfect on lunch break or whatever like that. So I work from home as well, so it's perfect. I
have to say, yesterday's video, which we're recording this on Wednesday, so day 2 was a hell of a drive. It was P2 in qualifying, and then you came in P3 in the race after a little bit of door barging from other people and things going on, but so if you are interested in that, it's on our YouTube channel, and you'll see Hayden's custom livery on the BMW. It looks outstanding. We will get onto that later on as well, but the car just looks really good. So what's your favourite track on ACC?
Brands Hatch.
Oh,
it's my most driven track. I love it. Yep. I love it. Love it.
That first corner, when you get that right, you feel just like, you feel like a top racing driver if you just get that right.
100%. Yeah. And actually, when you go and see it in real life, which I'm fortunate to go at least twice a year to do it, it's so steep.
Oh yeah.
It is a lot steeper in real life than it is on that game. So yeah, when I'm going through T1 and T2 at Brands Hatch, I feel like I'm a racing god. But yeah, no, Brands Hatch by a long way is my favourite track. I love Brands Hatch. I just love. I prefer the short circuit better, but unfortunately ACC doesn't give you that option.
Right.
So the GP circuit is just as good. You can't overtake at Brands Hatch. You have to really be strategic.
Yep.
You have to really line it up to be able to overtake somebody.
Absolutely.
It's got everything in my opinion. I just love it.
Absolutely. And it's so technical as well. The corners aren't just a throw the car into the corner. You need to be thinking about not just the corner you're coming into, but the corner next, because it literally comes up on you before you know it. So
100%.
Yeah, it's a thinking man's track, I think maybe we should describe it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. 100% that. Yeah, 100%.
Right, what we're going to do, we're going to now switch it on to TOGA specific things, because at the end of the day, you are TOGA. You are the brand, you are the person for it. So can you explain to our listeners what TOGA stands for?
So yeah, very interesting. So TOGA, if I go rewind back before even sim racing days, TOGA Motorsport evolved from TOGA Virtual, which was or is still effectively a aviation channel. Back in lockdown, I'm heavily into flight sims as well as sim racing games, but I've just dropped those for a little bit. Just haven't had the chance to be able to do it. So I started a channel called TOGA Virtual, and TOGA actually stands for take off, go around in aviation world, and that basically means that it's full throttle effectively.
Right.
When you're taking off, you would sometimes, some runways are really short, and you would go TOGA, which is effectively full power, and it's a little switch that spins up the engines even more to give you a better takeoff.
Right.
Alternatively, if you're missing, I can see people now's eyes glazing over, people falling asleep, but I love aviation as much as I love sim racing. When you're coming into land and you do a missed approach or you've got some bad weather, you have to go around. That means then again you're full throttle, you then go off and you go in your approach again. So that's where that come from. And then effectively we moved into the sim racing world, and I quite like the name TOGA, so I kept it in there, and I just replaced the virtual with motorsport, and then we're here where we are. So so it's got a mixture of both aviation and sim racing, really, if you want to put the two words together, and that's what it stands for. And
it really does tie in, because racing is about being full throttle or being as fast as you can, so the tie in together is really good. Did you have a favorite plane when you were flying in the sims?
Yeah, the 747, and obviously that is obviously decommissioned now for passenger transportation. I was lucky enough to be able to fly on a 747.
Oh, nice.
Twice, in fact. So, yeah, 747 is just an absolute, they call it the queen of the sky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was unbelievable aircraft to fly in the sim, and it's obviously a huge, great big aircraft to see take off and just to be near. Yeah.
Absolutely. How long has TOGA Motorsport been in existence for then?
Oh, but good question. So looking back, I think it's approximately 2021 is when TOGA Motorsport officially, I guess, was introduced to, I guess, the world, or this little corner of the internet. It started off as a F1 community. We would create F1 races or leagues, and then race on those every Sunday. It was and then eventually F1 games, I don't want to diss EA or the writers or designers of F1 games, but the game started to get a little bit more arcadey, and it was more pay to play, and we lost a lot of members because of just the way it was written. So I always have an interest in ACC. It was either that or iRacing. Again, iRacing is can be quite expensive. So we decided to go down the ACC route. So it was me and a friend and one of my brothers that just decided just to drive in ACC. And then we found SimGrid. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, we'll go into this in a little bit, but just the expansion from certainly when I joined. I've only been in the TOGA family for a short period of time, but it's certainly grown and grown, and in a good way.
It really has.
Sometimes things grow too quickly, and the people behind the name or the brand aren't reacting quick enough to the changes, and things kind of get a bit messy. But for me, it feels more planned that things are expanding for it as well. So that's good. I mean, so we're still relatively young in terms of the whole sim racing community side then.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So it's basically still quite young in its existence. From where it started in 2021. Some sim racing communities have been going for years and years.
100%. Yeah, so it is really, really new still.
Yep.
I think you mentioned it before about growing too quickly. I do believe that we actually did go through that pain before Owen joined. We grew incredibly quickly, and we weren't ready for that growth.
Yeah.
When Owen came on board, Owen came on board due to we had a endurance round. I think it was 12 hours of Bathurst. I think the race was. Owen partook in that event, and there was a bit of there was a heated discussion in Discord after the race due to stewarding. It was all around stewarding and not dishing out strong enough penalties. And Owen piped up in the chat and was like, "Hey, I can help you guys out if you're interested." And we won't discriminate against anybody here at TOGA Motorsport. And we got talking. Instantly built up a really good relationship with Owen. And since Owen's come on board, he's revamped it all. And I feel now we are in a much better place for growth.
Sure.
It was a headache, but we did grow really, really quickly. Maybe about 6 months ago, it just exploded. But we weren't ready for it, and due to other people not being able to commit, we had to get new people that would be interested in sticking around. So I think since Owen's come in, it has settled down massively. But prior to that, if you come to TOGA Motorsport maybe 6-8 months ago, we were in a bit of a mess. And that's me being honest and transparent.
Well, exactly. And I think anyone listening would rather hear the truth. You know, it's not about painting a beautiful picture of something that's perfect and nothing ever goes wrong. Everybody's human, and you just don't know. I mean, I've created a Discord channel, and you just don't know from one day to the next. You might get a burst of people, and then you might not get anybody for a while. So there's no way you can plan for something exploding as it does. But it sounds like, you know, you have learned from some pain that you had to endure at the time.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely feel we went for a pain point, but also what makes I think one of the questions is, I think I'm going to touch upon it, but what makes us different is we listen, and I think that's the big takeaway out of all of this, is that we will listen to everything the community has to say.
Yep.
And then we will react to that. Yes, we have the final say. If we don't, if we can't, no one agrees, then obviously, our staff members or whoever it may well be has the final decision. But we want to give our community the best experience possible, and we will listen from their gripes or moans or praise. We will listen to everything.
And that's good, because it should be run like that. It's a community for a community of sorts. So I mean, as you say, we will touch on that whole thing, but it's quite well explained how you can have issues, but if you listen to people feel that they're part of that community and that they are being listened to, and if it is criticism, then take it on board. As you say, at the end of the day, there does have to be somebody who has a final say. at the end of the day. But and I wasn't sure whether to touch on this or not, but there was obviously a slight issue with the 24 Hours at Spa race recently, and there was a lot of people back and forward, and obviously sim racing, you can get het up, you can, in the moment, things kind of feel really huge problem, and then later on they don't feel quite as bad. But I was looking at the chat, obviously I could only commentate for so long, but I was looking in the chat later on, and I could see yourself and Owen listening to what people were saying and trying to figure out a response that would, you can't please everybody, but a response that would level out the field for everybody. Do you want to touch on that at all? Do you want to kind of say how you felt at that point when things weren't quite going correctly?
Yeah, that was an insane 24 hours of my life that we are very much scarred for going into 2024 and actually thinking about doing another 24-hour event. But 100%, no, I'm not going to shy away from any question. I think, yes, it was, emotions were high.
Yep.
Myself, Owen, George, Daryl, yourself, Ollie. I can't think of anybody else that I apologize to somebody else. I miss Arnold as well.
Yep.
Our head steward, he was helping out. So we all made an absolute insane effort to try and put on this 24-hour event for our community. And we had a problem. The problem was a twofold problem. It was one that our rules weren't 100% crystal clear. Basically, the rule was that we would not... There was no maximum driver time set in the rule for our endurance league. So as I understood it and I interpreted it, is that the game would work out that time for you. So when you're in a team event, you've all got allotted time. Either we can set that on the server or leave it alone, and an ACC determines that time for each driver's got max amount of driving time.
Sure.
Unbeknown to us, as soon as you set it to 24 hours, the logic completely changes. And it actually, what it does is it takes the amount of drivers you've got and divides it by the number, and then adds on a little bit just in case, and then that gives you the driver time.
Yep.
So teams had sorted themselves out so that their faster drivers would be in the car longer than their slower drivers.
Which makes
completely
sense.
Understandable.
Yep.
You know, 100% agree with that.
Yep.
Which meant that some teams then would have got disqualified, because as soon as they get their maximum driver time go to zero, it automatically disqualifies them. So we were trying to think of a way where we would say, okay, well, unfortunately, can we restart the server? Should we red flag it now? We were, I don't know, 12 hours into the race, I think it was at this point. So we were trying to work out some sort of plan to try and keep everybody happy. Now, I think what we did was the right choice. There was a lot of team members saying that we were going to lose so many cars, but actually I think we only actually lost 2 teams in the whole of the grid.
Wow.
Which again, we felt really bad for those 2 teams, bearing in mind they just sat for 12 hours and mostly through the night to race, and then unfortunately they got disqualified from the session. But we went away. As soon as the race finished, obviously we went to sleep, because obviously we were all knackered, and we changed the rules straight away. So we made it crystal clear in the rules now on our endurance league that the game will determine how much driver time you will have.
Yeah.
So and that was it was a massive deal for us at the time. But we had a lot of teams backing us, which was really great. A lot of teams not backing us, but again, that's fine, because everyone has their own opinion.
Absolutely.
And in fact, if I sit here today, I don't think we've lost a single team. No team has gone, I don't want to race here anymore in this league. So actually, like I say, tensions were high, emotions were high. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't. Yes, it's a big deal, but I feel like we dealt with it as best as we could. We would have annoyed more teams by red flagging, because some teams, the leaders were 4 or 5 laps ahead of everybody else. So they would have got hacked off with the fact that they've got to start again on the lead lap. And, you know, we took the decision in the end to leave it as it is. But we reacted straight away, and we have changed the rules now, and you can go and check those out on SimGrid. If you don't believe us, we went away and checked them, and changed them. So Yeah, that's what we do here. We listen to people. The Endurance League has been very tough because it's a paid event. People are expecting a level of professionalism, a level of dedication from the team. So actually, that's a big learning curve for us here at TOGA. We've never done an endurance league before, and actually, if I sit here, I created this league, this races, and I don't think we were necessarily ready for a big endurance league. I'll be honest and say that right here and right now. We weren't ready for it, but now we've learned from it. We've made our mistakes. The next time in 2024, we know what we went wrong before, and we know how to make it better.
Yeah. Absolutely. And is the fact you are being so honest is something I did want to bring up, because it does show that unless you've been doing this for a very, very long time and that you've got everything buttoned down, things can happen out with what control you have. So no, I appreciate your honesty with that. Let's move on to you personally. What drives you to grow the community in TOGA?
I have this weird thing inside of me that I love to see people grow and to achieve their goals. I don't know what it is, but ever since, I think it's when I've become a parent myself, I get a kick out of seeing my children, walk or talk or play football for the first time, or netball for the first time, or whatever it may, or ride a bike for the first time. I really enjoy, and I get a kick out of that. And to have TOGA Motorsport and see people come to us with zero experience, not much racecraft, not much ability, and to be able to come in and actually join our events, not be ousted out for their ability, to be listened to and helped and guided, and then see them come out the other side, I just makes me warm and tingly inside. George, who is one of our staff members now, coming to TOGA Motorsport exactly like this. He would be the first one to say he was not great at sim racing. He was new to it. He struggled initially, but now if you look at him now, he's not only is he a staff member here at TOGA Motorsport, but his racing has improved massively just by racing with us, by being helped by us, being coached by us, or whatever it may well be, and given that ability to grow and flourish into how he is today. So yeah, it's more the fact that I just love to see people come to us and actually stay here and go, do you know what, it's a cool place to be. I'm learning so much cool stuff here.
And that's the thing about the community. From what I've experienced, there's so much help, there's so much support. There's it's just a friendly place. You can ask what you might think is the most stupid question in the world, and everybody is there to assist, whether it's somebody who is advanced with their driving skills or somebody who's, as you say, is just joined with not very much experience, but you can see them grow, and you can see the confidence growing in the many championships that we have, where they're eventually, each race, they're actually improving where they finish. So absolutely spot on. It's all about people being able to improve themselves, and yeah, that's a fantastic answer.